What's the guarantee? Eric?
Mike, time to make history. Players in Circa Million make 5 picks against the spread each week with quarterly and full season payouts.
Circa Survivor entries choose one team each week with no point spread. The last one standing wins it all.
We have $21 million on the line. Are you in? Visit circasports.com for details.
It's Cyclone Sunday with Ben Bruns, breaking everything down from the Channel Seed Studios. This is Iowa Everywhere.
What is going on? It is the first Cyclone Sunday of the 2025 campaign. I am Aiden Wyatt, joined as always by my man Ben Bruns. Brunsy,
what's up?
Today was a good day. How's it going?
Yeah,
man?
Today was a great day. You come away with a victory against a rival in that setting. That's big time. I mean, just season opening win, playing at a very high level in that second half.
Absolutely. It's kind of interesting. You know, last year we had, what was it, October that Iowa State got bowl eligible, is that right? And we had this feeling of like, wait a minute, we can be bowl eligible in October? This year it's like, wait a minute, you can beat a rival in August before anyone else has played a game, and you're 2 games up in the Big 12 essentially on K-State already.
Hassel said it really well. He had a little tweet after the game. I thought some great breakdown from Chris. Yep. And, just talking about the fact that for the next month, Iowa State's going to be number 1 in the standings. And that's just a fact. Mm-hmm. So, a couple important games in the next couple of weeks. And very interesting listening to the broadcast about how teams have struggled that have played in that game to begin the season, right? I think 15 games under 500 for all the teams aggregate that have played in that game to begin the season, all time since it's been going on. And at least that's what I remember them saying. That's I remember Iowa State was going to play out in Hawaii for the first game of the year back in the early 2000s, and the game got canceled. And I was just like, oh, thank God, right? Like, you're going to go play a tough Hawaii team, that far away. I've taken that flight as a big guy. I flew to Hawaii, at 305 pounds, and like, it was awful. So, these long trips take a lot out of you. They take a lot of preparation. They take a lot of focus. I think Iowa State did it very, very well. And don't you think that this is the best we've seen an Iowa State team play the first game of the year under Matt Campbell?
Yeah, I think there is some nuance to that, just in the sense of this is the first time that he's had to lay it all out there. This isn't a vanilla playbook that you're hiding something for that coveted week 2 game. This was, same with Taylor Mauser. I mean, he had a couple great play calls. That pop pass to Gabe Burkle, it was like you knew he was keeping that in his back pocket all day.
And what a great play call there. Same thing on the K-State side. That matchup they got where we've got a safety that's trying to screw, like a freshman safety trying to screw down on Brown, running a post route. That was brilliant, right? So I think both coaching staffs came into the game with really smart, aggressive approaches. And I think Matt Campbell and the staff just did an absolutely hands down better job at halftime. And, the way that offensive line played in the second half was completely different than the first half. And Hansen coming back in the game. We should probably talk a little bit about, do you have a theory about why the running back time was split up the way it was? Because I do have a theory about it.
You know what? You go first. You're the guy with all the brains here. I'll let you lead the way.
So I don't know this to be true, but I just wonder, I can tell you as an offensive lineman playing with a running back, I was really fortunate to play with Darren Davis and Ennis Haywood. And when somebody else came in, it took time for us to figure out a little bit about what they were going to see versus what we saw and how you work together as a unit. And it could be that the staff looked at this and said, you know what, we're going to do the first quarter with one back, the next 2 quarters with another, and finish it out with the first guy. And I don't know that that's true, but it was so odd as the game was going on. Like, well, this is funny. Like the entire second or the entire third quarter, you don't see Carson Hansen. Like, is he hurt? What's going on? But he played the whole fourth quarter. So there is something to getting a rhythm, and I've never liked that whole one series back and forth thing. Maybe it was just we're gonna let these guys each play a quarter and give them some continuity, and Hansen's gonna be our guy who starts the game and finishes it. I don't know, but I tell you what,
yeah,
it sure was fun watching Iowa State run for 108 yards in the second half.
Do you think that Iowa State will have? Will they be a running team this year? Do you think? Is that their identity?
I mean, out of the gate, 3 straight runs. I think Iowa State, just like everybody, wants to establish a running game, and I think the play action game with Rocco is as good as you're gonna like. It's really good. You think back to some of those Iowa State offenses that just felt like they were missing something. Even with Brock Purdy at the helm, it was like there's just something like we just got to run the quarterback. We got to bootleg a little bit. We got to do just a little bit more in that aspect of the game. I think the way Iowa State is approaching play action and running Rocco has really changed things and made Iowa State a lot more effective. And you're right, some brilliant calls. That play call to Burkle, allowing Rocco the option of being able to choose 2 different plays and fourth down to win the game. Talk about fourth down to win the game. You like that? You like the field goal? Tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of people that I noticed thought that it was really silly that Campbell, assuming this is Campbell making the decision here, you get up to the line, you do the hard count, take a timeout. Most teams come back, they kick a field goal, whatever. I like that, you're laying it all out there. You have a play in mind, and you call a timeout, and they're probably thinking, do we send out special teams or do we need to prep for defense? There is some strategy to it. He's not just playing around with his timeouts or anything like that.
Well, and obviously, that whole staff's like, what's this number going to be at? If we make the first down, is it over? Right? Like that's the question you're asking yourself, because even if you score, like I was worried when it looked like Hansen was going to score, because it's like, dude, like it's way better to stop at the half-yard line. Like a score's good.
A touchdown that gets overturned, sorry.
Yeah.
Ends up helping Iowa State.
Exactly. Yeah. But that play call converting, when you kick that field goal, what you're doing is painting a target in the end zone, right? And the other team's got 2+ minutes to score a touchdown. And then the onside world is so weird. Like you just don't know. And it puts the other offense in a very aggressive posture, and it puts you in a more conservative posture because you have a 6-point lead, right? You can't get beat by a field goal. So you can play a little bit soft, but the problem is we see it all the time. Teams just pound it down the field knowing they need a touchdown. They get the touchdown.
Texas Tech last year. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, like it's a ball game again. So, the fact that he didn't get in the end zone, I think actually was of huge benefit to Iowa State. But I love going forward in that situation. I got a string of buddies, that helped turn Iowa State football around under Coach McCarney, that are texting, and it's like, yeah, that was the right. Everybody's like, that's a great decision. So
yeah. Before we get any further, I need to thank some of our sponsors. First of all, our presenting sponsor here in the Channel Seed Studios, it is Channel Seed. Channel Seed's best-in-class products provide the tools for you to be successful in your fields. Their commitment to farmers is supported by delivering leading-edge solutions that are connected to you through next-level experience. We love the Channel Seedsmen here at Iowa, where they've supported us since day one, so we appreciate their support. And one of Iowa's newer sponsors, Carbless. Now, this is a Wisconsin brand, and Bruns, I think you have a connection here.
Yeah, for sure. So, a couple things about Carbless. No, number one, my wife Kate wrote a story about Carbless. They're very close to where we live. It's the fastest growing beverage brand in the country, and Iowa is their top ranking state in terms of sales. I'm a guy who, isn't really into seltzers and all that stuff. Like I just don't care for that stuff. I'm not a high noon guy. I like carbless and I drink carbless and it tastes good. It calorically doesn't, it's like, it's carbless. It's carbless, right? So it's fantastic. I think I can't tell you how excited I am that Carbless is sponsoring our show, and it's not going to stop me from having a tequila, but let's go.
It's Carbless. They're handcrafted cocktails, bring you the bold flavor without the guilt. I want to touch on Coach McCarney just because you brought him up. He was at the game in Ireland today, and I know we ended last season with this whole, man, it's so great that Iowa State won the Pop-Tart Bowl and won 11 games, and it was for McCarney. Well, we're kind of back in that spot where, this is something that McCarney undoubtedly had a part in, playing the first game of college football. It has college football playoff implications.
Yeah.
Big 12 title implications. It's it's kind of cool to see all of it's Matt Campbell's 100th win.
I was going to say that too. I mean, that's a huge milestone. Hats off to Matt for win 100. That's a big deal. Mac is Mac's the reason we have nice things, right? We're just grateful to have had the experience. I'm sure we'll talk about it after next week's show, but a bunch of my senior class and the folks that were on that 2000 team are getting together next week, celebrating 25 years. What I miss is the guys. I miss the experience of the time with the guys. I miss that sense of connection. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. Mac was the one Jaden Jones is we've talked about them before, right? They're a great leadership consulting group, and they've worked with Iowa State. They work with the Packers. They work with the Dodgers. My company's doing some training with them, and the other day we had a conversation about who's the first person that believed in you, like really believed in you and helped you, get where you are. And there were a lot of things that popped into my mind in a lot of different ways and all of that. But the thing that I came back to, my experiences of believing in me as a person were so tied to coaches believing in us as a team. And it happened in high school, and we won a state championship. It happened, at Iowa State, and we won the first bowl game in school history, and we turned around a program that had just been a total mess. And Mac is that person that creates that sense of belief that's so far beyond what it would be considered normal or rational, even in the moment, right? Thanks for.
Yeah, I was glad that he was. Absolutely, I'm glad he was there to witness this all. Let's get into the actual game a little bit more.
Yep.
This wouldn't be Cyclone Sunday if we didn't talk a little offensive line here.
Yep.
Not a great start, but certainly improved as the game went along. Let's start with possibly the biggest news coming into this game outside of the showmanship. Trevor Bohr was out today.
Yeah.
What do you think the impact was for the offensive line not having him?
Well, I think I saw a couple things. Iowa State did not, in the O-line, did not do a good job of dealing with twist games up front. So, there were a couple times where K-State just went 4-man rush, TE stunt, and 44, who's a great player, probably going to have an all-conference season, 2 sacks, in the first quarter of the game. is in the backfield, and Rocco really didn't have any time, and they played coverage to start with. You're only rushing 4 guys, and that's a stunt that you've got to pick up. And so I think, though, some of what happened is that Brandon Black was used to playing center, right, and not being in that right guard position where Bohr had been playing, and it's just kind of when he comes back, I think it's going to make Iowa State that much deeper and more solid. And when you work together with a guy all the time, like Miller and Bohr were doing, like you can feel how that transfer is going to happen as you step out that tackle and the ends coming around. That exchange becomes much better. The communication is better. Doesn't excuse the fact that you should still make that block anyway, right? Like that's something that the group's got to work on. And I loved Rocco's comments after the game. He's like, hey, look, we got to get better. We got to score more points. We, as an offense, we did what it took to win, but we can be better. And I think that's indicative. But I think the way they played in the second half, especially that right side running the football, was outstanding. I think Jim Bonfos did a nice job at center. I think, it's nice to be able to have that kind of depth that, you're not just scrambling and all kinds upside down when, maybe the best guy, we'll see, right? We'll see how the season comes out, but having Trevor back is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you want to touch on offense before we flip to the defense and close it out here quick?
I think wide receiver, we were talking off camera, there's a lot of good things happening there. And, we're still, that offense is still going to continue to just get better and better. I like how multiple Iowa State is. I think the play that I absolutely loved was Iowa State came in that bunch look, right? Spread everybody out with the tight ends. All of a sudden now the defense is completely outflanked. So this was like mid fourth quarter. And Rocco just had to read where the safeties were going to go because, Iowa State started in such a heavy formation that, everybody was screwed down and then split everybody out. And you've got winning matchups out wide with 2 big tight ends up against a corner and a safety. And we chose to run the ball up to the, to the right side of the formation. And we could have thrown it up there too, right? So you're just looking at the defense at that point, trying to say, where's the strength of the defense? They can't possibly get here fast enough to stop us from converting this play. And Iowa State had multiple things they could do on that play. I just think great play design, caught K-State not knowing how to balance up, and you get numbers matchups to make things happen. So, to me, it was execution, it was game planning, it was decision making, it was play calling, and it was execution by everybody in that group that just got better as the game went on. And I thought, by the time I saw somebody with a tweet that said, week one, it's week 1 of the season, but there's some week 10 type execution in the second half of that game. And I thought that was brilliant. I totally agree. Totally agree.
That's a really good way to put it. Another bit of good news here is that is going to be maybe the best defensive line Iowa State plays all year.
Yeah. Yeah. So you would probably, there's some folks in Iowa City who'd probably say that's not fair. And maybe, BYU always seems to have some dudes. You're like, who? Whoa. But yeah.
KU caliber dudes.
Yep. KU's the other one that last year really was the matchup problem for Iowa State, right? Like that defensive front. We owe them something with this offensive line. So I do think there's a couple tests still out there, but you're right, man. That was a really good D line, good front seven, and Iowa State was able to be productive.
Let's flip it to Iowa State's defense. Man, what a world of difference it is to have some healthy linebackers. No disrespect to any of the guys who played last year, but it is nice.
All of that tackling in space out at the edge, right? Anything wide that started to happen. I mean, they broke some plays, right? Everybody's going to break some plays. There's some plays down the field, that kind of thing. But don't you think that Iowa State, all of a sudden, we become so used to Iowa State erasing what looks like a lot of ground where somebody's going to break a big play, and just erasing that and getting it to the point where they got the guy on the ground, right? And I just think that Iowa State with a healthy Caleb Bacon, we'll see what happened to Caleb Brzezina. That may be a problem for us going forward, but it was a different defense, completely different, right? And it actually worked the way it's supposed to. And that's not to say that guys last year weren't trying. It's just, we were way, way, way deep in the depth chart and found some guys who could really play. But just the range, the tackling, it wasn't like the tackling was perfect at the start of the game. It wasn't, right? There were some missed tackles here and there, but what's your impression about the difference of that second layer?
I mean, this kind of ties in with the DBs too. I just thought the tackling was extremely well for a week 0 game. Not to say that it's been sloppy in the past by any means, to an extent, but to be this, it didn't feel like Kansas State was going to break many tackles at all.
It was like Avery Johnson with all his electricity was never you never worried, oh no, Avery Johnson's going to break a big play. Did you think that as the game was going on? I didn't.
Not with his legs anyway.
Yeah.
Which ties into the DBs. I think they tackled very well, but there were obviously some new guys playing new positions. And when you lose guys like Bo Freeler, Malik Verdon, Darian Porter, Miles Purchase, Jeremiah Cooper shifting over to cornerback. Yeah. There's going to be some growing pains for sure. Yeah. Some guys biting on some routes that it won't happen again. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure. They'll play it over the top. That big score that maybe you're thinking about. I remember thinking live, wow, that had to be a blown coverage. And then you watch it full speed and you're like, no, actually it's just a really smart route by the defense, putting a freshman safety on the fastest guy on K-State's team. And, he just came down on it too hard and, you get beat over the top. So there's a lot of things that'll get coached up and corrected. I thought Tayshaun James, maybe player of the game from my perspective. That tackle to stop the fourth down run was that was really good. And, there was some up and down nature in the officiating in this game, but I feel like the booth review got it right. And I think in both cases where there's some kind of critical spots, I think the guy looking at it on the field had the best view and he got it right. Yep. So,
see, I think my favorite Tayshaun James moment of the day on Saturday was when he recovered that fumble. Instead of handing it to the ref, he just gives it to Matt Campbell. You can see Matt Campbell just go, "Thank you."
It's like this isn't even our ball.
Right.
Somebody, where's the ball boy?
Right.
I love it.
Any other takeaways from Saturday's Armageddon win?
Yeah, I think Iowa State rushing 3. We weren't getting anywhere fast, and I do think that's an area that. But as soon as Iowa State brought 4 or 5, they were able to get some pressure. But part of it is too, you don't want to just all out pass rush Avery Johnson because if you you need to contain him as you pass rush him, and so. I thought it was a nice blend defensively from John Heacock, and I, the system wasn't broken. It just had some missing parts, and now those parts are back in place, and the system works again. Funny how that works, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Well, I think that's all I got for you, my man. Let's get out of here. Thank you. I've been in Circa all week with our friends from Circa Sports. Watched the game from the Sportsbook today. If you saw, Scott Sipker did a little, man on the street, talking to everyone who knew everything about Iowa State and Kansas State. If you haven't watched it yet, Ben, you need to. There's some characters in that one.
I love it.
Anyway, thank you to our friends at Channel Seed, Carbless as well. We will be back next week with another edition of Cyclone Sunday from the Channel Seed Studios here on Iowa Everywhere.